So let's talk about breathing next. So breathing has a great way of controlling your central nervous system, I would say. It's probably the main component of is the central nervous system, no?
Yes.
Okay. And advanced breathing techniques, those are going to be something that are more like a fire extinguisher for me. There's a fire. I need to put it out right now. How are we going to do this? I'm high anxiety, and then I go into my breathing and bring it down.
Right.
When I'm not there yet mentally.
Yes.
Is that generally the best use of breathing?
Well, I mean, the best use of breathing is living.
Other than living's cool.
I say that really kind of my heart hurts a little bit because the amount of people that I've been able to work with that actually don't breathe well. And if you don't breathe deeply, if you don't breathe fully, you actually do create pathways of anxiety in the nervous system itself. I myself, at one time, I had a physical or massage therapist go, "You breathe backwards." This is back in the day, and I had this realization. I was like, "Oh, because I'm always trying to suck my stomach in." 20 years old at the club, and you're trying to be like, and I realized, oh my God, so many girls my age, we suck our stomachs in, so we end up breathing backwards. Where instead of inhaling and our stomach expands, we actually
do it the other way around.
Do it the other way around because we're trying to keep tight. We're trying to look a certain way, and it actually gives so much tension to the body and so much tension to the diaphragm that you end up doing it backwards.
I didn't even think about that.
That changed my whole world because then having to train myself to breathe properly was its own challenge.
Breathing is a whole thing. And I told you, I once got kicked out of a session with a breathing coach. I frustrated her so badly. So it's a whole thing. And I don't think about it on like a continuous basis. I usually use it as a tool to calm things down. But breathing in general as like a practice for like how you're saying it is like learning how to breathe effectively.
Learning how to breathe effectively, but also paying attention to when you're not breathing effectively. Shallow breathing can be a response to stress. And when you're shallow breathing, just a lack of oxygen itself slows down every process in your body. It slows down every chemical process and every energetic process. So if I am not breathing like this and I'm tense, what I'm actually doing is that I'm creating a static response in my body where nothing is flowing, nothing wants to move, and that's actually the foundation for overwhelm. And so if you do catch yourself not breathing, simply, just a really quick one like that.
And that's your central nervous system just relaxing.
It alerts the brain and it alerts the nervous system and it says, hey, parasympathetic, turn back on.
Turn back.
You need to, we're fine. Everything's okay. And something as simple as just alerting your body, we're not breathing, is enough to start kicking in the relaxation processes. It's enough to also tell the brain, whatever you need to do to supply oxygen to the rest of your body, you need to do that right now. Do it now, because we're about to go down a pathway. We don't want that.
And you can do it under stressed. So
that's basic.
Putting it, in putting it down on the list, I didn't even think about it on like an ongoing. And my previous assistant, it's a Pilates coach, and she used to always
breathing in Pilates.
She'd say breathe in deep, and I'd breathe in deep, and she'd be like, "You're not breathing in deep." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I am." And she's like, "Well, I'm not seeing your rib cage expanding, so you're not." Right. And then so I guess it can be a micro process that you program yourself into too.
Absolutely. And a necessary one, because you can't get to the breathing practices per se until you actually can train your whole core to breathe properly, because you're not going to take the 4-7-8 breath or the prana breath. Your whole body's going to spaz up if you don't actually do a full breath physiologically correct. And I'm not saying that there's a perfect way to breathe, but there's a better way to breathe where you're actually expanding your muscles in a proper way so that you're getting a full inhale and you're actually able to fully exhale, because we do half breathing so often.
And that's why it's more in the advanced column, is because now you're taking like deep rooted stuff and information that's sitting deep in there, and that's how you're bringing it out. So
it's just on the nervous system too. You got things that are stuck all over your body. When people talk about like, oh, I hold emotions in my body, and we all do.
100%.
You can end up in your organ. They could end up in the crevices of your vertebrae. They can end up in your muscle tissue right here. They can end up anywhere that it decides to inlay and overlay and just rest. It rests in your spot because your body has this amazing way of storing garbage.
And for anyone that doesn't believe it, I'll give 3 examples where that information is stored in your body pertaining to what kind of information it is. So when you're stressed, when you're on a deadline, when you need something to happen faster and it's not happening, where does it? Right here. So everyone holds their shoulders up. When you have like something dropping fear, a very bad thing is happening or is about to happen, where do you feel it? Bottom of your stomach. That's where you feel it. If it's anything romantic based, a lot of times you actually feel it in your heart area. It's crazy, but that's just how it works. So the breathing accesses, instead of a general, my nervous system is tense right now, everything is tense, the breathing can go into certain areas and release things, and that's an advanced technique of getting information back out, because it went there and stored, and now it's coming back up.
It could also be very simple too, because if you are already in the process of working with your trauma or working to overcome or break through something, and you get triggered. So you get triggered and your nervous system has this fight or flight response that goes off, and you feel the actual sensations in your nervous system. You feel the tension in your muscles. You feel your heart racing. You feel even your blood pressure going up. You can feel like the tension in the back of your eyes, or the energy like swirling if you happen to be really sensitive like that. Your breath can actually help you move through the trigger, can help you move through the moment, because sometimes we get lost in the whole physical.
Too much happening.
It's like it's an overwhelming sensory experience occurring, but the breath is one way to actually roll through it. We call it rolling through it. You can roll through the trigger instead of looking and staring at all of the symptoms that are happening. Breathing is just one way to help move whatever response at the subconscious level is occurring in that moment. It will just help you roll through it. Right.
Which is also why kids that play sports competitively tend to have better emotional wherewithal, because they experience that.